Nazareth's Messiah heads to Jerusalem. He rode in, crowds cheered wildly. Their voices rang out in joy. Hosanna! Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. Peace in heaven and glory in the highest. But not all rejoiced. The Pharisees, watching from the sidelines, were disturbed by the people's fervor. One of them stepped forward and demanded, "Teacher, rebuke your disciples." Jesus, his voice calm yet resolute, replied, "I tell you, if these were silent, the very stones would cry out." As Jesus entered Jerusalem, the city stirred with anticipation. Yet beneath the celebration loomed the shadow of betrayal and suffering. In the upper room, he gathered with his disciples for the Passover meal, a moment rich with meaning. Taking the bread, he blessed it, broke it, and shared it with them, saying, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." Lifting the cup, he declared, "This cup that is poured out for you is the new covenant in my blood." Then, in a profound act of humility, he knelt and washed the feet of his disciples. "If I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example, that you should do as I have done to you." Later that night, in the stillness of the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus withdrew to pray. The weight of what lay ahead bore down upon him. "Father, if you are willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours, be done." An angel appeared, strengthening him, yet still he prayed with such intensity that his sweat became like drops of blood falling to the ground. The quiet of the garden was shattered by the arrival of soldiers, led by Judas, his betrayer. As they seized him, Peter, overcome with emotion, drew his sword and struck the high priest's servant, cutting off his ear. "No more of this," Jesus commanded, touching the man and healing him. Dragged before the Sanhedrin, then to Pilate, and finally to Herod, Jesus was questioned, mocked, and beaten. Though Pilate found no guilt in him, the crowd, stirred to anger, demanded his crucifixion. With a heavy heart, Pilate washed his hands before them, symbolizing his unwillingness to take responsibility for the blood of the innocent man. Weakened and wounded, Jesus carried his cross through the streets of Jerusalem. When his strength failed, a man named Simon of Cyrene was compelled to help. The procession reached Golgotha, the place of the skull, where he was nailed to the cross. As he hung between two criminals, suffering the agony of crucifixion, he spoke words of mercy even in his final moments. "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." One of the criminals mocked him, but the other rebuked him, saying, "Do you not fear God? We are punished justly, but this man has done nothing wrong." Turning to Jesus, he pleaded, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." Jesus, despite his pain, answered with grace, "Truly, I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise." As darkness covered the land and the earth trembled, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." And with that, he breathed his last. The temple curtain was torn in two, and a Roman centurion, witnessing these events, declared, "Truly, this was the Son of God." His body was taken down and laid in a borrowed tomb, sealed with a great stone. But death could not hold him. At dawn on the third day, women came to the tomb and found the stone rolled away. An angel appeared before them, saying, "Why do you seek the living among the dead? He is not here, but has risen." Overcome with awe and joy, Mary Magdalene ran to tell the disciples. Peter and John rushed to the tomb, finding it empty except for the burial cloths, neatly folded. As they stood in astonishment, the realization struck them Jesus had risen, just as he had said. Hope was restored. The promise was fulfilled. Jesus lives, and because he lives, we have hope everlasting. He is risen indeed.